All the hits. Your hits all summer.
The best new music in summer.
That's 109 FM.
Yo, this is your boy Jean Russet at Hot 109 FM. I'm here today with the upcoming lyricist and hip-hop artist hailing from North Ohio, an area that many people don't know about. Right, DTown?
Yeah, that's correct, man. That's correct.
But I just feel lucky and appreciate that I stumbled across your website and found those what we're going to get into in this interview with these dope 16s and just hearing your music. And I just felt like as a fan of hip hop, someone who just as like my own hobby of just trying to just know about artists that I should know about. I was surprised. I knew nothing about you, but you've done a lot as far as independently what you've done as an artist, and you've been on the stage with Machine Gun Kelly, Wiz Khalifa, Rick Ross, collaborated with many artists, and now you're at this point where I think what I want to do is talk to the audience about how this is an artist out there that everyone really needs to hear, and that's the main focus of what I want to do with these interviews as I do more of them. But I want to start. Thank you for making the time and give me a little background on just how things began with you and how your career as an artist started.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. If I had to take it way back, I'm from a city called Youngstown, Ohio. It's a city in northeast Ohio. It's right between smack dab in the middle of Cleveland and what Pittsburgh would be. So we're kind of like right there on the line. And 1999, heard my first rap album, Q-Tip's Breathe and Stop. Became a huge A Tribe Called Quest fan. I was in middle school at that time. Started writing my own raps. Formed a rap group with my brother, just kind of like playing. And then I want to say roughly about maybe 2007, 2008 is when I started to pursue music seriously. Since then, I've been nominated for Ohio Hip Hop Awards. Some awards include Best Live Performance. And like you said, I've shared the same stage with Rick Ross, Wiz Khalifa, Soulja Boy, MGK. So, just, as far as like the hip hop aspect of it, I just really got my start just writing rhymes and having a passion for lyricism and just really, really, really like clever, witty, over the top hip hop, like as far as like complex flow schemes and rhyme patterns. So that's pretty much where my passion lies. I just feel like right now there's not really a whole lot of skill in the game. You know what I mean? People are kind of just, not to point anybody out, but the music's certainly different from what it was when I first came into the game, and that's kind of like what I'm sticking with. You know what I mean? Just bringing hip hop back to the mainstream is what my primary goal is right now.
Yeah, and you made me think of something important. You said a lot of some really just key things that I think stood out to me was, and in listening to your music also, I can hear those influences, the Tribe Called Quest, and I mean back in 93, 94, no one was in the game was really doing what they were doing, and in listening to their music, it was positive, right? It was before the whole gangster rap and all that. And even though I love West Coast stuff, I live in California, I've been in Oakland, I love the Bay Area, I love LA, and but when the West Coast thing came in, it was still lyrical, but it was more, there was a lot of the, just the subject matter that was not really like I think true to more like KRS and those guys, and what he's often rapped about I think the things like the integrity, as far as the integrity of the hip hop artist and the culture, and it being, in summary, I've kind of a wordy journey to this assertion, but here's what I found: your integrity to the art and not changing your your music and your style in order to fit with what's popular with the mainstream that kind of goes against like the foundations of hip hop, it being about skill as an MC, how can they move the crowd, just what they bring to the mic. And I think that's what you've just kind of based your thing on with, and you can maybe kind of enlighten me and give some, for those in the audience that haven't visited your site or heard any of your stuff. I mean, you've got your own site. You've got to make it easy for listeners to go on YouTube or whatever, or SoundCloud to hear your music. And when they hear it, they hear somebody's taking some time into their, what they put together. And if they listen to the words, I mean, they're going to hear, okay, wow, okay, this is a skill. But it's different than sometimes there's people listening to music nowadays, they don't even want to hear the lyrics. Okay, you understand, and no offense to Desiigner or anything like that, but I think his album is going to be called, New English and that type of thing, and it's just a whole different style, right? But I think what you're bringing is something more. I think it's current and it's now, but it's still got that like kind of vibe to it, like kind of early, like even I would say even like Gangstar and Guru and those guys. What are some of like your influences?
Some of my influences, if I had to name them, definitely Redman, definitely one of the best. Eminem's up there, of course. A Tribe Called Quest. A lot of Kanye West's earlier stuff was really dope. Had an impact, had an influence on my style. I'm just a fan of hip hop. You know what I mean? And they're, my brother Cyrus Harper out in LA. I know he's a motivational speaker, but he's more, he keeps me kind of like going. He's definitely somebody that keeps me inspired and keeps me motivated. And my younger brother, Mellow D, out here in Youngstown, Ohio, he's definitely one of my inspirations and motivations as well. He's worked with me to help cultivate the sound on my very first solo EP, the Northsider EP. And, that's just I have my core influences, like where I draw my musical influences from, but then I also have people in my direct circle that have an influence on me as well. And I just wanted, give them a real quick shout out because, it's, you can do a whole lot by yourself. Mm-hmm. Or get caught up with the do-it-yourself mentality, but you can't do it all yourself. And it's really good to have just a strong support unit around you of friends and family and loved ones that keep you pushing and keep you going. So I would say, to be completely honest with you, they have done more for me than any of my influences have in my professional career.
Wow. And just to kind of expand on that a little further, and this is something I think the audience can appreciate, is there's a lot that goes into kind of creating these songs that you put up and people that you work with and your team, the folks that you mentioned by name specifically. And, you can educate me a little bit on that. I mean, getting like your beats and all this type of stuff. And it's a lot, but you're doing as an independent artist, like kind of give me, like just a general view or like a bird's eye view of just what you, the things that you may manage mostly yourself as an independent artist, and then kind of how those other folks that you mentioned help support you with that.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand the question because it was breaking up for me a little bit. I believe the question was, how do I manage myself as an independent artist, and how do those people come into play in my career? Is that correct?
Yeah, in general, it's like there's so much stuff that you have to do as like an artist, and it seems like you're doing, like if I didn't know about you and I just went to your website and I looked at one of your videos or looked at some of the content you have on there, I see you at the forefront, but they don't really see the magic kind of behind the scenes and stuff that, like the kind of the hard work and things that you do when to kind of create your art. And then in general, I wanted to give people like a day in the life or day in the week of it, like those things you have to manage. And then some of the things like the folks that you mentioned, like how they help, kind of support you with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think it's important, especially at this level of my career, that I'm just as active in my career as I possibly can, and peace of mind that comes with that freedom, knowing that I can decide to do my decision as opposed to it's something that I have to do because it's mandated that I do it from some third party. And there's some serious consequences or repercussion if I don't perform it. So people that help me in my life, my brother, again, Cyrus Harper in L.A., he's a motivational speaker. He also has his degree. I believe he has a bachelor's.
Wow. Okay. Let me ask you about this. So, because currently right now, and one of the things I enjoyed the most was your the North Sider EP. And for those of you that don't, or for those out there who haven't heard it, I highly recommend you checking it out. You can we're gonna make sure to provide you with the link and the web address for that, so you can check it out. But so DTown, just kind of if you don't mind, let the audience know kind of what the North Sider EP is, kind of how you kind of started out with that project, what it's all about, and what hip hop fans and listeners are in store for, when they check out your website and look for the EP.
Oh, no doubt, man. The North Sider EP is my first project as a solo artist. The thing that makes that project unique and what I aim to do on that, when I noticed hip hop was missing something, it was missing a lot of tracks where the artist would tell stories. Whether it be about their life experience or someone else's life experience, there weren't really a whole lot of storytelling tracks out there. Everything was pretty linear. So with the North Sider EP, I aimed to change that. I did a lot of storytelling, and I also wanted to make it as musically driven as I possibly can. Basically a hip-hop, like blues, jazz album kind. Not as extensive as, let's say, To Pimp a Butterfly, but it's
P-Rock and CL Smooth? How about them?
Yeah, more along the lines of that, more along in that lane. But it was my first solo project. I really love it. Shout out to Mello D, the executive producer on there. Shout out to Black Cloud, another producer on there. It was just a phenomenal project putting it together, and I got to work with some really amazing people. Shout out to K-Star, My Bird, for helping me out. But I would definitely say the standout track on there. There's a couple, but me personally, there's a track on there called Say Something. And if anybody's looking for like hip hop that has like a real deep meaning to it and it's very, very thought provoking, I would recommend seek me out and listen to Say Something. The track is simple enough to where even the most casual of hip hop fans can listen and comprehend what's going on and what story exactly it is that I'm telling. But I would definitely say if this is your first time listening to me, listen to Say Something. It's definitely going to sell you on the North Sider EP. That's what I got.
Hey, let me ask you, I was thinking as I was listening to what you were saying. So when I'm hearing you perform and hearing you rap, it sounds so different than like when just talking to you straight up conversationally. But kind of like how your name, like the name of the website, Executive DTown, right? So I hear a business guy. I hear when I hear you talking, we have a conversation. You are a hip hop artist, lyricist, writer. So you write you do both because you write and you kind of do freelance stuff more like off the top, like the Dope 16s, right?
Yeah, I do freestyles off the top with the Dope 16 series.
Yeah, and I think those. Did I see those on the www.executive-dtown.com website, or did I see that on another?
No, you've seen that on executive-dtown.com. The Dope 16 series is basically a freestyle series that I do to showcase my lyricism and to kind of bring the focus back to lyrical skill to the realm of hip-hop. Like I said, I think that, the art form has ranged and changed and evolved in a way to where that's not necessarily a focus, but I am most comfortable in that area. And the one thing that really won't ever go out of style, no matter how often the genre switch up and trend, lyricists are always going to be in style in some way, shape, size, and point. It's when you hear a person really spitting, you're like, yo, that guy has skills. And that's exactly what the Dope 16s are designed to display. They're designed to display my lyrical ability and also allow me to connect with my fans on a monthly level, since I do release a new one once a month.
Yeah. Now help me refresh my memory, because I've been kind of checking these out for some time before we were able to connect over the past few months, and listening to them as I came across them. And I noticed you're taking some beats from like more like current songs. I'm not sure, did you do a freestyle over it was something, I think one of Kanye's recent tracks or something. What's one of the more recent ones, and kind of like, I guess, let me put it this way, like how Lil Wayne used to take the beats, like the best beats at the time, and then make his mixtape, and everything, we're like, wow, you have that ability to kind of do that. And I think I'm trying to remember, like, what's one of the more recent ones that kind of stands out to you that you've done?
One of the more recent ones I've done Jay-Z and Future's I Got the Keys, Desiigner's Panda, ASAP and Future's New Level, G-Eazy's
That's
Me,
it.
Myself.
That's the one that with the ASAP, the New Level. That one, where you did over Panda. And I'm like, man, okay, so you took Panda. Cause I tried, man. I like the beat, the sound, and everything with Panda, and you know, it's a good song to kind of listen to in the car and turn up to. But you ain't really singing along to the lyrics, or maybe some people can. Well, man, it's hard. I'd have to use like Rap Genius and read the screen. But when you did it, I was able to hear. It's like, man, you're like the flow on that type of beat. You clearly just kind of structured, but just being totally original and making it your own. Let me just put it that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about. You know what I mean? It's about a fresh take on something that the listener may already be familiar with. Mm-hmm. Because the problem that I face with being a guy that's focused on lyricism, mm-hmm. If I go older, like if I start to rap over the like Mobb Deep instrumentals and the Ghostface Killer instrumentals and stuff like that.
Yeah, which I love.
I love them too. They get twisted, but then what happens is the public labels you an old school artist. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's not necessarily something that I want to be labeled as. I want people to actually listen to me and understand, like, yo, this guy is doing it. You know what I mean? And mm-hmm. I think those were great for their era, but the point and the purpose that I'm chasing and that I'm trying to bring awareness to is, I'm an MC in this current era, and you listen to some of these dope 16s that I'm doing, I'm absolutely, like, murdering these beats in some of the craziest ways possible.
I'll co-sign that.
So I'm like, you have no other point at that point in time but to respect the skill. You can still like the original, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the artists that have done the original, but it's what I'm doing is taking it to the next level. You have to respect the skill set at that point.
Oh, totally. And one of the things what you said was perfect. And this is kind of what I see you doing with your art and your music, right? And why people are going to really enjoy just kicking back and listening to it when they're actually like listening, not in the middle of doing something and just not paying attention. If they just are chilling, they hear you out and what you're doing on those beats, they'll hear that's in essence. I think that's a part of the culture where hip hop is competitive in nature, and hip hop kind of takes elements for things, kind of this way that like kind of street art does. Take something that like a blank wall and then just make something crazy with it. Or it could take something that somebody else's and kind of remix it and do it. And when you're doing those with those beats, like you'll take the beat, like boom, okay, let me get a world my take on this. Let me show them like how I do this. And those things stand out. I think that's something that people should do. Even like some of the artists that are more, I guess would be considered more mainstream. Like for example, like Drake and Joe Budden or whatever's going on with them. And Joe Budden does his track where he's kind of, I guess, going at Drake and all that. And I've always respected him as a lyricist. Like Joe Budden, I can kind of see like a similar like type of MC as far as you, like someone that is like that detailed as far as like with lyrics and like lyrically syllables and all that type of stuff. But he's kind of going it out with the artist. I'm like, man, why don't you just do like what you did? And if everyone did this in like hip hop, I think it would be better and more positive to still kind of channel those competitive impulses or feeling like they need to go at somebody, okay, go at them, but go at them on the beat. Like, 'cause we have enough of this kind of people acting crazy right now, and there's a lot of negativity out there, and the music doesn't really need to perpetuate that. And like one of our conversations well before this interview, we talked about that's one thing that I've kind of carried with me, and just as being a part of the culture, like we need to more uplift people, uplift the streets, uplift people with our art rather than kind of tear them down. And you're doing it like in a fun way where it's like, man, this is like sport. It's like getting on the court. I got this beat, boom, here it is, and there just needs to be more of that. And I think it's being overlooked, and that's why my plan is to do with a series of these interviews with emerging, just artists like yourself, artists that you need to hear. And people need to hear that, like what you're doing. It's creative. I mean, you're doing the 16s just, there's nothing written, right? No BlackBerry, or where you're looking at the screen and we see a video later.
Nah, no BlackBerry, man. Not at all.
Yeah, I know. That was Funkmaster Flex or some posted that video. I don't understand that. How Drake had to. How does someone do a freestyle where they're looking at a BlackBerry? That's not a freestyle, right?
Well, you would have to ask. You would have to ask those artists that. You know what I mean? I grew up watching, Rap City in the basement. The freestyles there. I grew up watching Freestyle Fridays and even if you take a look at the battle rap culture, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, you see a lot of top tier artists, and that's not something that they're doing. I think that's something newer that people are doing, and I don't necessarily know why or understand why, but I kind of wanted to showcase, like with the Dope 16s, I didn't want to come in and be that guy, and that's not knocking anybody that does those things. If you do it and you're good at it, more power to you. Some people just have to be prepared in that way. But I wanted to kind of separate myself from people and avoid using those devices to kind of get these 16s off. You know what I mean?
Now let me chime in there real quick, because this is something really important I want people to understand. So, and this, you can probably please expand a little bit more on this, at least to the point that you feel comfortable. You don't have to use names of labels or people and all that. But your experience, like with major record labels and just the music industry and all that, like kind of like just talk to us about that, how that's been, and just some of the kind of the inequities that you've had to deal with, like as an independent artist, and how the music, I guess the current structure can sometimes inhibit and prevent art from rising to the surface and like keep good art down. Or like in the case of like where you're streaming your music on Apple Music or something, I don't think you're making enough money off of that for it to be considered relevant. But it's like, man, it's like so dealing with like Tribe Called Quest, they've got that song, Let Me Tell You About the Business. Like, tell these folks like what it is right now. What's the business like for you? As in, you got all this talent, all this skill, work with all you do, Machine Gun Kelly, Rick Ross, and then what's the deal with the major record labels? Why do you choose to do the independent route?
Industry rule number 4080: record company people are shady. You know what I mean?
Word. Yeah.
So I mean, what you have to keep in mind is, I've always had kind of a different view of the major label. You know what I mean? I just don't understand how another man can get rich off living off the dream of another man. So
kind of like, let me time this just be funny real quick. I gotta chime in with this joke. So like when Suge Knight was up on the stage, and he said he did this, if you want to come over here, don't want somebody all in the videos, all on the record, come to Death Row. And that's kind of like people trying to ride your wave. Really take your wave. Am I hearing that right? That's the kind of the shady record industry, whatever, kind of doing that to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right, and it goes a little bit deeper than that. I could sit here and go hours and hours into why I feel that way, but more practical view, if you take a look at how the game is going now, like a lot of the business models that the record labels were built on are becoming obsolete, because with the advancement of the internet, it cuts out the middleman. We as artists now have the ability to go direct to fan, direct to consumer, Whereas 20 years ago, in order for us to reach somebody, we had to go through traditional means of media such as TV, radio, grassroots campaigns. And now we do that. We can just take the track, upload it, send out an email, let our fans know directly. There's tons of different ways we can let our fans know. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you know, and it's there. We don't have to wait for anybody to approve it. You know, we don't have to wait for samples to clear, none of that stuff. I mean, there's repercussions to doing things like that, but at the end, we as artists have complete control over our careers now. So my goal is to personally develop a way to reach out to my fans and thank them for downloading my music and for supporting me, whereas Apple Music and Spotify and Tidal and things like that, they do pay you for your streams, but they will not give me the data that allows me to reach out to my fans on a one-on-one basis and say, hey, you know what, thank you for supporting my album. You know what I mean? I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like, so they give you the money, but for me, it's not about the money. It's about the relationship that I'm building with my fans and supporters.
And let me ask you a couple things that are just really important, I think, that people realize how, and it's a good thing, of Google, Apple, these new tools that we have, these new tools and social media provide a way for artists like yourself to have a direct relationship with your audience and fans and kind of manage that and have access to the information and to just not kind of be, you know, for lack of a better description, just jerked around by somebody that maybe doesn't have the most integrity for some sort of, you know, I don't know, major label, whatever, just in general, shady music industry stuff. Somebody, you know, that maybe they aren't feeling you for whatever reason and just aren't really being fair with the process. So now it's like you can kind of go around them. Like, and here's a great example. And this is something I think people need to realize with people like even like Jay-Z and Kanye West. You know, these are some inspirations that like we both share, or people we both find inspirational would be a better way to say that. But basically, those guys originally they had their label or they had their content that they wanted to bring to some major label, and they said, nah, we don't want this. This isn't hot. They told Kanye West, Jesus Walks isn't hot. It's not gonna work on the radio. You know, it's like all these guys. It's similar to like when people apply for jobs and there's all that skill there, all that talent, and if somebody's on the other end just like denying that person or just not, I guess not really seeing how what this person can really do. And they're actually wrong. And that's okay. I think sometimes the world and the audience, and especially myself, like we get it wrong. You know, having our positions within the culture, you as an artist, MC, and myself just as a writer and someone that, you know, from a business standpoint wants to just help others, you know, share their voice the same way I've shared mine. I think it's really cool, like what you're doing. And the direction like you've taken with it, I think you can inspire people too and show them like you don't have to have this person's approval or wait for them to give you the shot. Like you can just go on and do it like yourself. And sometimes you just got to, or you could compromise your art and then have I don't know, some of the stuff you told me about, I don't remember that, but having to just talk about, I guess, questionable like drugs and.
Yeah, I mean, you know, find yourself in those positions. You know, you're essentially signing yourself over to somebody. And you're basically allowing creative people into your space to kind of, well, not creative people into your space, but you're allowing people into your creative space that may not excel at being creative. The audience that you've cultivated and developed and that you resonate with and you understand what it is that they like and what it is that they need. Now you may be working with a person that is directly in conflict with that, and they're going to try and take you into a different direction. And since they signed the check at the end of the day, you really have no alternative choice but to bend the way that they want you to bend and to do the things that they're instructing you to do. So I don't necessarily have a problem with authority, but I do have a problem with with people interjecting like constructive criticism when they don't have a stellar track record of being constructive in that field. It's just, you know.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, and let me make sure that I understand this, what you're saying is important. And these people that they don't have the background, context, or understanding enough to really assess, what you're offering. And they also, I'm just wondering, in some of those instances, are they bringing fact-based criticisms or fact-based judgments, or they're just, oh, this is how I feel or my opinion or all that?
If I had to break it down into layman's terms, they're not looking at it from an organic standpoint. They're looking at it from more of a numbers standpoint. Meaning you will know what type of products and what type of music resonate well with your fans. You know what type of questions and things like that you can ask them and how to engage with them and how to interact with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're an expert in that area. And then you're speaking to a person that's an expert in a numbers area. They're not an expert in engagement. They're not an expert in creativity. They're an expert in just specifically numbers. So whereas if you use me for an example, I'm not an artist that does club records, right?
Mm-hmm.
But during the summer, in certain markets, club records do very well.
Yeah.
My immediate fan base doesn't resonate with club records. Don't necessarily resonate with them, especially when I deliver them, because that's not the person that I am. They come off as very insincere and genuine. So the numbers guy then and looks and he's like, oh, well, you're doing good, but what we really need is a club record for the summer, and that's going to be what takes you to the next level. I don't do club records. My fan base doesn't do club records, and now he's trying to get me to reach another audience where what he doesn't understand is when you try to reach a different audience and it's outside of your lane, it alienates the people that are already supporting you. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing from that is like when, for example, like your audience likes a particular thing, and when you give them that thing, they're like, thank you for giving me that, because that's what I'm interested in, that's what I like. Now here comes whoever this other person is, or industry or whoever, or shady person, and they say, yeah, well, we need something popping for the club. We need club records, and we're trying to get it cracking with this and make these numbers happen, and boom, boom, boom. How about you just make this thing that your audience will hate and that doesn't connect with you and your brand, and make this thing without us? You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like they're really coming to, like, maybe even like this. In the business world, my time in sales and those things, okay, that's fine if you want to do something different or you have an objection, but we're like, let's do the middle ground. Because I could understand, hey, I don't do club records with that dude, this, and this, but I do like this, or I would do this, because at the end of the day, we want people to dance and feel good and hear something. And, like, you made me think of, like, J. Cole, for example. Like, he's a lyrical dude, and then you got to kind of satisfy the audience with, like, he had the whole song that he came out with, I'm drawing a blank on the name now. But anyway, he ended up writing Let Nas Down on the second album, because he made the song to he compromised, like, his more that kind of traditional, kind of more Nas type of true original hip hop stuff, and just kind of make some kind of like bubblegum pop like club thing to get the numbers. But I understand he's under pressure and all that. That's definitely not a slight to him. But that seems like that's what kind of the industry does. They're like squeezing you as a creative person. Like, yo, you need to squeeze out this with your creativity. Like telling you what to kind of create in a sense. And then at that point, you run the risk, I guess, of not being creative and definitely not being original. If it's you end up sounding like everybody else, and that's the one thing that makes me stand out, is that I do not. I've been in a situation like that before
and it's not something that I care to go back to. And that's why I think that the independent route is just really important. You know what I mean? You see the artists like the Chance the Rappers, he's doing very well, and
great, perfect example. And I think you kind of, that's that kind of family that I would kind of put you in along with other people, like you making good hip hop content, good music, lyrical, and stuff you can still move to, and that's fun, and it doesn't have those things of kind of the whole, I think, it just things that maybe aren't as positive, like encouraging, the use of substances or living a lifestyle that can be harmful. Still able to kind of push something like, there is this other lifestyle too that's fun. Like you don't need to, do anything that's gonna not help you advance or succeed. Like you could, and I think that's how we like more. Like I think of like Pete Rock and CL Smooth, Tribe Called Quest, like that type of thing, and it always will have a place in our music, and ways to make it current and fun, and there's always a space for artists like yourself that are original, just kind of creating their own lane and doing it. And these people they need to go on executive.com. I'm going to keep saying that. That's the website, executive.com. And they can find the Northsider EP on there too, right?
Yeah, they'll find the Northsider EP on there. They'll find all 6 of the Dope 16 freestyles I've done as the 7th one, which is coming soon. And a new album here in October. I'm still working on a title, but we definitely have a new album that's going to be dropping here in October.
All right, good. Well, audience, I know you heard that. Stay tuned also to our content here at Hot 109 FM. I'm going to give you all some friendly reminders to check that out. But I would just suggest, especially we're all busy nowadays, you all got stuff competing for our attention and this streaming app and this thing and that. But if you just go to his website, or you on a break or something, you at work or something, you got your phone, just listen to just one of the Dope 16s. And that you can access them on the website, executive.com. Go to check out the Dope 16 series and just hear this brother, like, just go off the top on one of these beats. And you'll hear, like, okay, like, it's something you can hear real quick. It's not going to take that long. And you can get a little taste of kind of what we've just been talking about with words. And then I think you'll very much probably want to proceed to hear the whole Northsider EP and add the site to your bookmarks and keep coming. Because you keep creating content almost like you do it like weekly.
The Dope 16s definitely drop monthly.
Okay, monthly, okay.
Yeah, but I'm looking to move to a bi-weekly schedule. Don't quote me on that just yet, but we're going to be working on kicking out a lot more stuff here at a higher rate very soon.
Yeah, and I know it's like as far as those take a little bit more time, but you've always got stuff. I think I always just make a note to just kind of go and check back just periodically, and I think people would appreciate doing the same. And I think that's also when I think about it, man. It's more about whenever you do it, if you do it monthly or biweekly, all that stuff, it's just right when you do it. So however long it takes, I think that should be the perspective out there. But I know in general, the music business don't really work like that. I guess with they want to sometimes just have stuff just to have it and just put content up. And that's the thing that I'm saying. It's more about the quality of it, and the things that you're putting on are like all quality. I think that's the thing that people need to realize. It's not just fluff, just putting something up there just to be putting it up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. With the creative schedule that I'm on, if anybody joins my mailing list, I do keep them updated. You can join my mailing list at executive.com, or you can even shoot me a text message. You know what I mean? I encourage all my supporters to shoot me a text message and get locked into my personal phone. You guys can reach me at 30239-8396. I shoot everybody a message back. I keep in touch with all of my fans. If you guys are just looking to keep up with me, those are definitely the 2 places that you can go to keep me locked in and stay tuned with what I got going on.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that too. That's something I think in closing, thank you for just even responding to my initial message, just as a finding your stuff. And I said, hey, I'm John, boom, like this, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't really expecting a response back, but I got one back from you. Oh, this guy's a real person. This ain't like a robot site or something, or just marketing. It's like a real person, and you interact with people. And I think some of that, like listening to the crowd and getting, listening to people and just really being a part of the culture. I think that's what, why when I hear your music, people hear like it's genuine and real, and it's got soul to it. It's not like the stuff out here where you're not really feeling it. You know what I mean? So we need to bring the soul back, man, like James Brown, but do it back in like hip hop form. That's like, what I'm saying? That ain't never gonna change people. Let me say this before we close out. So I try to love I love hip hop, man. So I try to listen to everything. I definitely prefer some styles more than others, but there is some of these new artists, man. I'm finding I kind of like Lil Uzi Vert, for example, or Lil Yachty and those guys. I hear more hip hop purists that kind of will diss or kind of lump them up together with this more newer crowd of artists that are the totally kind of more different styles of flows and the like that type of thing and the turn up stuff. But these guys they got bars. And they're just got to do something totally new and creative. I just hope that the thing is people start seeing some almost like auto-tune back in the early 2000s. Everybody just jumped on the auto-tune thing, and just at first it was kind of cool and creative for one person to be using it. I guess T-Pain to be doing it, and then and just that type of content. But then everybody just kind of jumped on the bandwagon and tried to do that style. And I think there's some people that can do that type of style of rap that those guys are doing, and there's some people that just don't. So, but it's really unique. There's a lot of good stuff out there from all kinds of artists, and I love what YG is doing with Still Brazy, and I mean representing for the West Coast. You got the Midwest out there strong. You got Chance the Rapper, Vic Mensa. So there are some big, there's kind of some more kind of major label stuff that I think is still really, really quality content wise and lyrically. And but then there is a lot of stuff you got to. I mean, definitely there's a lot of junk out there too, right? So,
yeah, but everybody's working hard within their own right. You know what I mean? I'll never knock a person for doing what's true to them. Art in all ways, shapes, and sizes. And, that's the beautiful thing about hip-hop, I will say, that, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
There's something for everybody. So, that's...
Yeah.
That's,
and I need because that could kind of come across, I didn't want to come across critical what I was saying, because you're exactly right. But people are doing their thing. As long as they're doing it genuinely and real, and putting that that real art and their creativity into that in their voice, I always support that. And you can kind of hear that in all good music kind of shares that. And it's something with you're doing your thing, and take your take on things that are more nostalgic, but it's current though, because you're doing it in your voice and doing it okay, hey, lyrics and hip hop will not die. Not while I'm here. Not while DTown is here doing. While I got this. While I got the executive.DTown.com, and I got my thing. I'm gonna make my content that y'all can. It's real easy to find. So, and thanks again for your time and for this. I enjoyed our conversation. Definitely an artist that you need to hear, y'all. This is John Russet, Hot 109 FM, and y'all make it a great day. All right, I'm gonna try something now. I think I still got you on the line, right?
Yeah, I'm still here. I've got to prepare to make moves here. I've got a session at 2:30, so I'm about to get for that. But it's been good, man. I appreciate everything. Did you have any other questions for me before I take off and start to get ready?
No, that'll do it, man. I'm just gonna have to figure out how I go back and find my recording. We're gonna edit it, dude. I'm gonna get this content over to this lady. I'm gonna head over to this coffee shop and get on the internet. But thank you so much, man. This is I had no idea this is my first time doing this. I'm sure you could probably tell. But I think really started kind of getting into the flow of it, and more the latter half of the interview, I think is definitely where I really kind of got more to kind of where I was trying to get to, and then really I think we're both able to emphasize those main things of checking out that website, the Northsider EP, and just giving people so they can probably gonna learn something by listening to what we were talking about. You know?
Absolutely, man. It was definitely a blast, John. Let me know how it turns out. Shoot me an email. I'll definitely be in touch. But
for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I got to make moves here real fast, man. But you take it easy, all right?
Yeah, you too. I'll be following up with you, and I'm excited to get this thing edited, chop it up, get the post going, and show you the finished product.
Awesome. Thanks again, man. Peace.
All right, so talk to you later.